Good
Hold on.
afternoon. Oh, not yet?
Hey,
Oh.
hey, yeah, hey. There it is. What's up? She's already, y'all. Proactive protection. Yes. Yes. Welcome to another podcast, the Proactive Protection with Miss Lynette Hillian. Yes. I mean, she was all ready to go and everything. Oh, yes. Hey, well, look, you already out there now.
Oh my goodness. I was I
Look,
was coming out the gate.
yes, she was. Hey, hey, you a professional now. Look at you. Hey, it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready.
I was going.
You was
Ooh,
going.
okay. So it's great to see you all. Or I guess for you to see me. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're here. Because if you're seeing me, that means you're interested in talking about the topic that we have this
Yes.
afternoon.
Yes.
Which yeah.
What's in
Go
your
ahead.
policy? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's
I'm sorry. Hey, man.
no, you go. No, this is a team effort here. So if you something you want to say, you go right ahead.
All right. No, I was just reading the title. Hey, again, what's in your
Oh,
policy? Because a lot of us don't know, and yeah,
mhm,
we need to definitely start researching what it is that we have. Yes, ma'am.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, so we talked about those who maybe don't have currently have a policy, or proactive protection. And so we've talked about some of those different, we've talked about building a legacy, and we talked about living benefits. We talked about a variety of topics. So one of interest is, if you have a policy, do you actually know what is in the policy? Have you, even after you fill out the app, you had your needs analysis, you've had your appointment with your proactive protection advisor, and you fill out the application, you're approved, you qualify, and now your policy is sent to you. So, do you read your policy now that you have it, or do you just place it somewhere? So until you need it. So one of the things that is very important, like I have my policy in front of me. So some of the things that you might want to know. So for example, is it a term policy or is it a permanent? That's the first thing. Well, that would have been, you would have talked about that with the advisor before you even, as you're doing the application or before you're doing the application, you would have talked about that. So again, a term policy is one that is for a specific period of time. So if you get a 15-year policy, a 20-year policy, a 30-year policy, it only covers you for, in terms of, provides proactive protection for that period. Versus permanent would be from whenever you are issued the policy until whatever age. So like my policy, I believe mine is up to the age of, I believe it's 121.
Wow. 121. Okay.
I think it's 121. I do believe so. Yes. So it depends on what type of policy you have. It could be up to age 100. It could be up to age 121. It just really depends on the option that you have. So those are things you really want to know, that because as I said before, we're all living longer. So when you're talking to an advisor, that's why you do a needs analysis, because we need to know, well, what are your goals for the future? And from that, then there's a conversation about what are your options, some of your options. And of course, those options are your choice, and we will advise you on that. So you know what the advantages are, or some things you might want to consider based on what your goals are. So you definitely want to know what type of policy do you have, because that will determine. I know some people will say that, okay, I have a policy, and I want to be able to take some of the take cash out, or I want to have a loan off of the cash value.
Okay.
But if you have a term policy, you cannot do that. There is no cash value, no cash accumulation, nothing.
Now, can you explain
So,
why is that?
because it's for a specific period of time. So if I say 15 years, you're not building up any type of cash value for that versus your whole life and some other options that you are able to build that up.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's just based on its term. So it's only for that particular period of time. Versus if I'm going to for remainder of my life, however long that is, I'm able to build up some cash value based on whatever option I have. So some are guaranteed, in terms of percentage. Some are not. It just may depend on the index or whatever, what have you. Like I said, it depends on your option that you have.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's good to know that so you go, you have this proactive protection policy, and you say, you know what, I really like to tap into some of the cash value that I've accumulated, and then you find out that you have a term policy. So that's why in the very beginning, when we talk about a needs analysis, that you make sure we go over your goals. That's why we go over them. So what is it you want to be able to do? Who are you trying to protect? Who are you trying to, are you trying to have one that there's a cash accumulation? So all of those conversations need to happen prior to, so that once the policy is issued, then, you actually know that's exactly what I wanted, that I know that there's a cash accumulation, or I know it's for a specific period. And some people say, I just want it for a specific period. And I understand there's no cash accumulation. So it's important to ask those questions, but you want to know what's in your policy first and foremost.
Now, for us wanting to know what's in your policy, is it just for more security reasons of what you have, or in case something may come up and you didn't realize, I didn't know it didn't cover this, or I guess
Right.
for us, yeah.
It's again, it's proactive protection, but you want to be proactive in knowing, what exactly is what's exactly there. What does exactly state about particular instances? Because that's where the majority of in terms of if you have any riders on there, like your critical illness, chronic illness, terminal illness, or any other riders that you have on there, it'll talk about that too. And it also goes into, it's very, like mine, you can't really see. It's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard to see mine, but that's who I have mine with. But there are other carriers. But in my policy, it goes through. It's quite a few pages, quite a few.
Oh, okay.
But it's great information here because, for example, in mine, it talks about, some things you might consider as you're, considering proactive protection. It goes through a great, because this may not be the only policy that you have. So if you say, well, I have a term, but I'm thinking about, possibly I may want to have one that does have cash accumulation. What are my options? So there again, because that's a permanent policy, that's a criteria and guidelines may, of course, would be different because the term policy doesn't have any cash accumulation.
Okay. So, again, those just tuning in, this is the Proactive Protection Vodcast with Miss Lynette Hillian. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to her. All right. Hey, she's right here. And as we're having a conversation, as we do each and every Wednesday. We can thank you all so much for joining us. And again, and she's registered in several different states, and she'll mention that as well. So again, there's her information. Go ahead and call her and leave a message. She'll get right back to you, or just go ahead and scan the QR code that you see up there. All right. So, all right, Ms. Hillian, go ahead.
So it also, it goes in depth. So there are like no surprises whatsoever for you. which is awesome. But again, if you have questions about your policy, I'd be glad to help you with that as well. So just so that you understand what's there. It's not to, say that this policy is you need another, and that's not my intent at all. But what I am about is educating you on what it is. What do you have, and does it fit your needs adequately, or do you need additional, or maybe you're great where you are. So but it's good to have those conversations so that you know that you're proactively protecting yourself and your families. So that's just so you understand, because I believe that's important, that you understand what exactly does my policy say. What does it say? What does it mean? And it goes through and it explains to you what certain words mean. So you know exactly what is when they use the term. And that was one of the things. It talked about the differences between term, and it talked about the difference between whole life and some other options as well.
Awesome.
So it's quite informative. It's informative.
And it's all based upon your needs, whether term or whole life. It's not
Right.
pitting one over the other, just basically
Right.
all based upon your needs. Okay.
Yeah, and I have both. So I
Oh,
have
yeah.
a term. I have term, and I have permanent policies. I have both.
Now, what would be the reason for getting both?
One was good question. I didn't believe I had enough life in terms of proactive protection. I believe I had enough. So, and that's in me making that decision. And doing my own needs analysis of what I needed. So, and that's why, because because some of them, depending on which carrier, there may be some other options for you, because we talked about living benefits and things of that nature. So it just really depends. I didn't feel I had sufficient proactive protection.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, ultimately, it is on the individual. So, you have to, have that feeling or that assurance that, yes,
Right.
this is what I need and I have enough. So
Right.
I get it.
Right.
Wow. Hey, if you're watching, you have any questions, feel free to, we can post your comment on live or so. Don't be afraid. Again, we're just having a conversation. This is the Proactive Protection Podcast with Lynette Hillian. So again, she is here to take your questions or any comments like that. Yes, ma'am.
And it'll also inside your policy with your information, it'll tell you what their limitations. It will go through all of that with you. So it's right there. If you have any questions, of course, you could ask your advisor, or you could give me a call, and I'd be glad to help you through that. In terms of it could be by Zoom. I mean, however.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah. So even if you didn't write up the policy, whatever, hey, you'll still help them out pretty much.
I will help them understand. I believe that's important. We purchase certain items, whether that be proactive protection or something else, but after we've done the initial and we've done the whole application process, we've done all of that, and now you have a policy sitting in front of you, and you may still have questions. You can ask questions. You should ask. You should ask questions. If you don't understand, you should ask questions. Okay. Don't feel. I mean, if I have questions, I want to ask. I'm going to ask questions. For anything, because I want to make sure I'm informed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems that we really don't like to ask questions or afraid of, and I guess anticipating on the type of response that we may get. I don't know. It's just a theory I was thinking.
Okay, so you're thinking we don't ask questions because we don't want others to perceive us in a certain light, possibly.
Probably.
So
yeah.
I mean, right. But if someone is an advisor, proactive protection advisor, they advise, which means they have information to share with you, and you wouldn't necessarily know that because you're not necessarily an advisor. So you
Mhm.
use it as you use your resources. It's all about using
Right.
your resources effectively. Use your resources. If you have questions, ask a question. That's the only way you're going to know and get an answer to your question.
There
So
you go. Yeah. Wow.
let's keep that in
Uh,
mind.
Again, we're talking about what's in your policy, okay? Or even if you have, well, I'm gonna say even if you don't have one, so but you know, you know, you should. what's what's in your
I
policy?
can help you with both.
You- That's right. She can help you with both. Hey,
I'll help you
okay,
with
no
both.
matter. So those down there in Florida, Georgia, and Virginia, correct?
It's Virginia is my resident state. Then
Hmm.
there's North Carolina,
North
Georgia,
Carolina.
Texas, and Maryland.
Okay,
Mhm.
man. Okay, all right. I threw Florida in there. It might be
You
a
know, I
sign, so I'm
mean,
sorry.
it's okay
Yeah.
because as I said before, if you're not in one of those 5 states, then again, as I said before, there's a step I need to do on my part. So
Beautiful.
that I can make sure
Yes.
that I'm, giving you the most accurate information.
There it is.
So keep that in mind.
Again, if you want to scan the QR code up there, feel free. All right. Yes. And she'll get you information and contact you. Again, just having a conversation, not trying to sell you anything. Just what's going to give you and give you some information, or just simply call her right there. All right. No matter where you are, feel free, because that's what she's here for. She's very passionate about this here.
I
Proactive
sure am.
protection.
You got it. You have to have it's necessary because it's planning it's planning for the unpredictable and in some cases the inevitable, depending on how you're looking at it. So, don't
Wow.
my thing is let's just be proactive, let's get ahead of it and be prepared as possible.
There you go.
So that's why it's important that you also know what's in your policy because that's helping you know in terms of if something occurs, that you know exactly what your options are and what is it your policy actually offers. So that's why you should know what's in your policy. You should know what's there. And it doesn't mean just you read it one time. Sometimes you have to go back to it. I go back to mine, especially if I
Okay.
said, well, I wonder if this is possible. And then I'll go in, I will actually pick it up and I will go in and I will look through and I will say, okay, well, what exactly, but this was now, let me say this. This is before I was an independent advisor. So I'm speaking from the experience of someone who, even before they became an advisor, I was looking in my policy.
Gotcha.
So because it depends on the carriers too. And it also could depend on what state you're in as well. So you really want to know what's there. What is actually in your policy, if there's any words you might not quite understand what they mean, they have that in there as well because again they want you to be informed
And that's
once you
all it
get your
is.
policy. Mhm.
Being informed. That's pretty much what it is. All right. Being
Mhm.
informed, so you don't get left out in the dark because it's
No.
lonely out there.
And no light whatsoever. So
Yeah.
I want and so we want to make sure that you're prepared. What's in your policy? And so, like I'm talking in general because, as I said, it depends on many factors. In terms of what carry you with, what type of proactive protection policy you have. There's a lot of different variables there, and so one policy does not fit all, as I said before. So depending on what your particular policy, what you were qualified for and approved for, may look different from mine. So I don't want to give the impression that because Lynette has this in hers, then I will also have it in mine. That is not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
So it's individualized. So it catered
Wow.
based on your needs. It's based on you. And I mean, I don't know how many things can you think of, Ron, where things center around you, just you, what your needs are. How many can you think of that you can actually say, this is individualized to me based on my needs and the needs of my family and my loved ones? How many things can you actually say do that?
I can't think. Can't think of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too preoccupied with other things and that don't really matter. Hey, you know, let me look at what really matters, you know, pertaining to me.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So that's something to think about. Is there what other options or choices that are individualized to you, specifically to you, not to Lynette, not to Ron, but to you? There's not a lot. And this happens, proactive protection happens to be one where it looks at you, your needs. It focus on the present and beyond. So you want to make sure that you have something that, you know, it prepares you for that. But you also want to understand what exactly are the parameters of your policy.
wow. Again, this is the Proactive Protection Vodcast with Lynette Hillian. She's taking all your questions or comments. Again, the topic is, what's in your policy? Do you know? All right. What's in your policy? And again, knowledge is power, or use knowledge as power. So yeah, let's understand, and let's get the understanding of what we have within our midst, part of our resources.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So, or what questions do you have for me? I know there are some. Don't be shy.
That's right. Don't be shy. Come on. Let's again.
Ask me something, you know, in terms of if I'm not quite sure what I have in my policy, but Lynette, could you give me a call? Sure. Fill out, scan the QR code, and I'd be glad to.
Yep, there it is. Definitely.
We can go over it with you. And for those of you who don't have proactive protection, we still can have a conversation.
There you go.
But we still can have a conversation. So don't think, well, I don't have one, this doesn't apply to me. This particular podcast does not apply to me at all. But it does as well, because I would want you for us to have the same kind of conversation about what are your needs, what are your long-term goals, what are your short-term goals, those sort of things, to kind of do an analysis of what are your plans. And our plans change it, or we have life events that change it.
That is for sure.
We have life events that change it. You know, that could be a marriage, it could be adoption of a child, it could be a divorce, it could be different life events that occur, which may cause you to make some type of change, possibly. So again,
change is inevitable. Yeah,
it is. And all change is not necessarily bad, and it's not good or bad, but it does occur. So with that being said, you know, I want you to be proactively protected. That's why I come on here once a week and I talk. But I want, you know, I'd like to have some interaction with what you think, and what are your experiences with policy? Do you have any questions about what you have in your policy? If you don't have a policy, you have no proactive protection, we can have a conversation as well. But I don't.
I'm wondering if. I wonder if they would make a law mandatory to have it like they do car insurance or so. You know, I mean, car protection, proactive protection. Yeah, sorry.
I don't foresee that. I'm not speaking on, you know, but again, it's individualized too. So
Gotcha.
I mean, it's based on your needs per se. So
Hmm.
it being tailored, because people don't have to, they don't have to have it. It's not they feel, some people feel it's not necessarily to have it, or they'll think about it later.
Mm-hmm.
But later
Yeah.
is
So
now.
later, right? Yes.
Later is now. So and just and thinking about this past week, and I'm an educator, that's what I do. Um and this is already Wednesday. And I had talked to someone, I think last weekend, not this past weekend. And I just thought about it, and they sent me a text and said, they hadn't talked to me. And I'm thinking, I just talked to you, but that was like over a week ago. So what I'm saying is, time is, I mean, it seems like it's speeding up to me. It probably is not. That just means we're very active and we're doing a lot. But again, even
Correct.
in us going about our daily lives, take time to think about, if you have proactive protection, what does your policy say? What are some guidelines, parameters? If you decide to make certain decisions, are you able to execute those based on what your policy is saying, is outlining? So we have to take some time and think about proactive. We have to take time to think about it, because as I said before, this is a whole nother week. And it goes because our lives are busy. And sometimes we put it on the back burner, but we need to, when you think about it, you need to start, think about, well, how am I going to actually, what's the next step for me? What do I need to do next? Simple
Right.
enough. You have my number. You have the QR code. I am your next step. So I'm right here. This is your next step. Me. I'm going to the next,
That's
where we need to go with this.
that's it. Don't be afraid. Hey, again,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to see change, you have to make that step,
Mm-hmm.
and you got someone that's here that's willing to help you with that step.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the bottom line is that the individual has to see the value and
Mm-hmm.
realize the worth. It's like, okay, yeah, I need to take this seriously,
Right.
and hopefully they get to that point before it's too late.
Right. Right. Exactly. So that's why we do this. It's to make sure that you're informed. And even if the question I'm asking, what's in your policy, you go, you know what, I don't know what's in my policy. Pull your policy out, so you can become reacquainted with it, because, people get a policy, and they've gotten a policy 20 years ago. So, or 10 years ago. It's time for a review. Because as I said, anytime there's a life change, maybe I would say it's time for you to review, because you may have to seek out additional proactive protection. You may be fine with what you have. But again, review it so that you're ultimately you're prepared as much as you can be.
Yes, being prepared, being
Mhm.
proactively prepared, proactive
Exactly.
protection.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know. Well, hey, look,
So.
we're about winding it down. Got a couple minutes here.
Mhm.
Yeah, again, feel free to go ahead and scan the QR code there, as well as give her a call. Lynette Hillian, she's right here for you. And
Mhm.
yes, this is her passion and what she believes in and what she feels
Mhm.
called to do. And so
Yes, I do.
uh, she would genuinely help you out,
I would.
regardless.
Mhm. Even if you don't know
All
what
right.
to ask me, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, any last words you want to say to the people to reiterate?
Um, okay, so I would say one or two things. Number one, if you have your policy, please locate it, and actually go through it. And after you do that too, give me a call. or scan the QR code. If you would like me to answer some questions for you or walk you through, or so you see what exactly is it saying that is available to you.
There you go. There you go. Well,
Not here to sell,
but hey, look.
not here to sell, but to inform.
That's it. As she said, not here to sell. Okay. No,
Mhm,
no, just informing. Excuse me. That's it. Just informing.
mhm.
Wow. Well, Lynette, we again want to thank you for another Power Pack show here. And
Thank you.
again, those who are watching, again, we just look forward to hearing from you. Even if you just want to do it for someone else or so, ask questions about that. Feel free. All right. Scan the QR code or basically pretty much give her a call. 757-598-2132. All right. Well, hey, you all have a great week, and we'll definitely see you again for another Power Pack podcast, the Proactive Protection with Miss Lynette Hillian. You all have a great one now.
Have a good evening.